Welcome to Mott on the Steel Path. Look at all these guys trying to attack me, the fools. Isn't this neat? It's like having your own personal Sevagoth in your pocket, just slowing all the enemies down for you. Anyways, if you want to know what was doing that, join me over in the Simulacrum, and we'll have a look. All right, so here we are. So this is a build for the Artax. What is the Artax? The Artax is a Sentinel weapon. You might have forgotten it because it came with probably the first Sentinel you built in the game, the Taxian, which I don't believe is even actually mandatory, but I think they give you the blueprint off a junction. I'd have to double check. Ours here is currently mounted on Dirija, which technically may be making what we're doing here worse because it's got other abilities in higher priority than the attack there. One thing you do want to look for is duplex bond. If you get that from the Andrade's son on Deimos, that will create copies of your robot, which will also shoot the gun. And then you do want just the assault mode. That's the big one. What I'd probably recommend running on is the death cube. Swift death might shoot faster. That might just be my brain thinking because of the name. It doesn't actually say there. And then we've got energy generator, which will generate an orb after so many assists, which we should be getting a fair amount here. So now we've got the Artax here. And it has this unique trait, Chill Reactor, which adds some cold damage that will not merge into other types. That lets us make fun combinations like magnetic cold and viral cold, most prominently. I chose magnetic because magnetic, if something isn't getting completely frozen, it's usually got overguard. Magnetic will help you quickly remove that overguard so that it does get frozen. You could to your taste go with viral though. You can also go with radiation if you want just kind of more general crowd control. I don't think you get a terrible amount of value out of radiation though because it's only the first proc chimeras. Other than that, we just want multi-shot, we want fire rate, so we are shooting something like 50 chances to get a status a second with over 100% status chance. That should keep everything piled up nicely in procs for us. And then the cold procs, when they hit up to 10, they'll freeze all the enemies, then they wear off, and then they'll build right back up again. If you did want to just make this pure cold, what I would do is take out that high voltage there. And we would swap in, where is it? Do a little search, hammer shot. Just for some extra status chance, that will keep it pure cold if you just want to go pure cold. You want absolutely everything frozen and nothing but frozen, which is a slowing effect, some bonus critical damage, and eventually just completely paralyzes them as long as they're not immune to having 10 procs. Then the centerpiece or the keystone of this build is this Shivering Contagion mod. Now that comes from an area called the Sanctum. If you're a newer player, you might not know what that is. It's very near, basically the end of the current storyline unlocks that area. And then you got multi-shot and status chance. You can put in shred instead of one of the multi-shots. The punch through sometimes with groups will give you better results, especially if you are having trouble where you don't have a grouping power. Some of the shots going through will go over to any things. But yeah, Shivering Contagion, if you don't have access to that area, you can trade for it on Warframe.market. It's running about 8 to 10 when I check the chart. You could also just ask a clan or mate or other veteran players. A lot of them probably have it lying around. They can't even be bothered selling it because it's not that popular one, even though it can be sold. Because a lot people think of putting it on their guns or putting it on regular guns, and usually cold you want viral or magnetic or blast. But this gun is the one that has the unique trait where it's got that separate cold that you can use. That's really what makes this stand out. Now let's bring up some guys here. We are going to pull out a Orokin battle group. Some good old corruptors. I'm going to throw a few Xmas units in here. just to kind of show off the magnetic part as well. Which I think was my logic when I made the video, but now that I'm doing post commentary on this one for a little bit more audio clarity, but I took the magnetic out. So it's not actually doing anything to the Overguard. The perils of video making. So yeah, what you saw there is occasionally a problem. It will target an Overguard unit and they can only get the 4 procs and it will keep targeting them and stay stuck on that unit. And you won't get more than 4 procs on the nearby units either. You can reset that by just kind of rolling around and pulling it out of target range. Once it gets to a regular enemy, it will shoot them until they get 10 procs and are frozen. And then kind of strangely and smartly and unexpectedly, it will switch targets once one's completely frozen to a different one. Which is better than I expected the AI to do. You can see now again it's gone stuck on the Overguard unit, so it's stopped freezing people properly. So you will need to go in and actually clear out those Overguard units, which is what I had the magnetic in the first version of the build there for to kind of help out with. If it got stuck on Overguard unit, you could very quickly take down that Overguard and restore the status quo where it's freezing absolutely everyone like this again. This can go better if you have an enemy grouping ability because it puts them all inside the Shivering contagion range. You could also put it on the Nautilus Sentinel, which has the cordon ability that will go off every so often. I myself hate that Sentinel. I hate the enemies randomly flying around and landing on a spot. I know it's not random, but it feels random in the context of mission. I don't like that happening so often. I tried to generate duplex spawn clones here, but apparently that's not a thing in the Simulacrum. I guess that's a bug that I'll have to report. Obviously, if you spend some energy and get the duplex spawns guys going out, you'll have 4 versions of the gun shooting different groups of enemies. It will help lock down the room even more. That's partially what you saw in the clip at the start. There was more than one Sentinel going off, shooting everything to get that many of them locked down. And yeah, you can see it keeps them all pretty tied up here. Probably at least on par with generally a Gloom or Dagas slow. And definitely more or less, once you get duplexes going, you can shut down whole rooms and have them completely paralyzed. So it's a very powerful defensive tool. It's not doing a lot for your offense other than boosting critical damage. This is probably not the most meta combination weapon you could ever get. That would probably again go back to being viral. Again, you can put viral on this. It won't spread amongst the targets though, unless you change the weapon you're using, which again is an option. You can use the Hellstrom for the multi-missiles and use that to spread the status around a whole lot. Now we're going to spawn another set in here. I'm actually going to pull out Caliban, because Caliban has the really neat, kind of interesting synergy with it where you can boost the amount of status procs by summoning his Ortholis. They can cause you to get extra cold procs, which will build the cold procs up faster, and then the Sentinel will see, hey, this guy's got 10 cold procs on him, and switch over to the next one. Here you can see I misclicked a button and accidentally sent a bunch of Xmas, so let's just get rid of those. I left like literally only Xmas and spawned those in. As with any crowd control, you'll have to do something to handle the Overguard units to at least take their Overguard off. But yeah, once we get some Tau status going on here, you'll start seeing they just get completely locked up. There is basically not only a handful or none of them moving, and basically absolutely nothing is actually attacking us. It's all getting completely slowed down. I also got Overguard here, and I have no idea where from. Drop a comment if you know why I suddenly got Overguard. Couldn't begin to tell you. That's not a feature of Caliban, the Sentinel, or any of my guns. I don't have secondary fortifier on even, which I know does some buggy things. My Occucore on Caliban has Cascadia Flare. And yeah, you can see we're just lodged. Something finally shot us there, I think, but we're just locking down the whole area. Then yeah, I can start doing the Caliban thing. That will make them take even more status, lock them down even harder. Because Caliban is a crowd controlling and damage buffing Warframe. So yeah, if you have found this inspiring, informative, any of the above, drop a like, subscribe to the channel perhaps if you haven't already. I know the majority of my viewers still aren't subscribed. I think it was hovering around 4.5% last I checked. And we'll be here to bring you more builds in the upcoming weeks. We have got a lot of Wayfinder stuff on the channel, but we haven't forgot currently because that's launched and Warframe hasn't really done much of anything recently. Cross your fingers, there will be a new Prime coming out soon. We'll have a build out for that, of course. And we will see you in there. Check out the playlist down below. I do have a bunch of different builds and guides for Warframes, mostly Warframes. I've only sort of occasionally done weapons. But check out the content. Hope you've enjoyed it. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.